So if we look at Siemens as an organization, we as Siemens Mobility handle all the rail business in basically the SADC countries as well as Nigeria and Ghana.
So what is the state of play in Africa?
You know, Africa currently, the infrastructure is very poor. Lots of money needs to be invested into Africa, and technology. I mean, one of the key elements of actually improving sort of service delivery infrastructure and moving people and goods from place to place is actually technology. And right now, if you look at it, most of Africa can't afford what's out there. Now, we as Siemens spend a lot of money and time and effort developing solutions, creating new innovations, and looking at what's going to happen in the future. I mean, Siemens Mobility has been around for 150 odd years here in the African continent. We've invested lots of time on people, on ensuring that we can provide solutions to the African market. If we look at Africa right now, we look at, everything's done on a paper trail. Really, moving people and moving goods from point A to point B is actually done via messaging. We don't have technology that is being used. Some countries have some signaling equipment, but the majority of them are actually doing it manually. We can base everything on South Africa, but Africa as a whole needs technology to improve. So what can we do? I mean, you look at everyone's talking about digitalization, everyone's talking about what can happen in future and stuff. And two of my colleagues yesterday were talking about an analogy about, there were no landlines in Africa. They skipped a stage. They went straight onto the mobile networks. What's stopping them right now from doing the same with the rail infrastructure? So what does that mean? We can get into something where you have solutions that are sitting on the cloud. Why? Because at some point in time, if we put infrastructure on the ground, maybe the comms are not good enough, maybe power dies, because we still need these basic elements. Africa has real problems. We talk about problems in South Africa where we don't have a train running from morning to afternoon. Africa is at a stage where they don't have trains. So it's a big difference, but I think we as Siemens understand these requirements and the needs from the African market, and we can provide them some level of service and support to ensure that they can improve. They have customers that they need to satisfy with SLA agreements, for example, the mines. The mines requirement is they need to move their commodities from the mines back down to the ports and to get it out of the country or wherever it is going. Now, to do that effectively, you need proper scheduling and sort of a train control system. And also, safety is extremely important. We don't want to have more accidents and people lose their lives. So, the basic element that you'd want is to create some sort of train control system that you can implement on the ground as a first sort of level. And from there, we move on to a more integrated level. A safe train control system that will allow the proper scheduling of trains and not for a train to arrive at a border, wait for 2 to 3 hours, wait for 2 to 3 days before he has clearance to move to the next station. Our solution can use the public GSM network that is available, so no infrastructure needs to be placed on the ground. Very important consideration, because right now, you know and I both know, even though we do not like it, lots of vandalism and theft occurs on the ground. Now, for example, you would install something today, by the end of tomorrow that cable is gone because it's got value on the black market. We would offer something that we call our TrainGuard Sentinel solution. So the TrainGuard Sentinel solution, we have an onboard unit which is placed in the locomotive, which communicates back to a central solution system, which is known as an OCC, or Operational Control Center. So this operational control center will talk back to the onboard unit, and the driver would receive his messages and his warnings, etc. on the onboard unit. We have a simulation running right now at Sara, where you can see it, and we will be present at Africa Rail, so you'll have a better indication if anyone wants to see it. But that would remove the trackside elements. We would use the GSM network, which would talk back. We would use what's known as an HOT, or head of train, and an EOT, or end of train device, that would allow you the train integrity and the safety on the track. Siemens, we're a big company. We could probably provide you any solution you want, or if you haven't got it, we will develop it. But we specialize, from my point of view, on the mobility side of the business. We specialize in all the signaling equipment. A train control system is a SIL level 2, or safety integrity level 2 system, TrainGuard Sentinel that I'm referring to. We have ETCS solutions, ETCS level 2, and we recently were awarded a massive contract in Norway for digital interlocking. roughly 800 million euro over 25 years. So that solution will soon be implemented. We've taken it, that will be done over the entire Norway, all their track. So yeah, we spend a lot of time and effort on R&D, innovation and new technologies and digitalization. You know, most people think it's still a buzzword, but I mean, we've been planning for this for a long time. So before you ask the question, we may have a solution for it. The thing is, most of the operators collect a hell of a lot of data, like you have been saying, and they don't know what to do with it, or it's not usable data. Usable data is only data that is processed through a system answering a series of questions to give you something that becomes information. Now for an operator, what does he want to know? How can I increase my throughput on the system? How can I reduce costs? How can I do predictive maintenance on my locomotives, etc. Stuff along those lines. So what we would do is take this data that you are receiving, we plug it into a platform. The platform that we use in terms of a smart solution is something called MindSphere. It's an open platform where we would receive information from different systems, correlate that information and give you some usable correlate that data and give you some usable information from it. Because all you want to see is, as a CEO of a company, you want to walk into that board meeting and be able to tell the guys, listen, this month we weren't able to deliver half our cargo. And they're going to ask you why, what happened? And you're going to be able to tell them, here are the reasons for it. A, we had failures in 3 times of our locomotives which could not run today. B, some track was damaged at point A, B and C. The reason for this was vandalism. We have now put in the following measures to ensure that we don't come to this situation next month. And that's basically how you do it.